Hello learners, welcome to the fifth and the last lecture of module 2 of our course Tribal Entrepreneurship and Economics. Here we are dealing with the elements influencing the rise of tribal entrepreneurship. Let's capture what we have studied in the previous lecture. In the previous lecture, we have studied about the three basic elements which actually influence the tribal entrepreneurship. One is the economic development, another is the self-sufficiency, third is the cultural heritage. And along with these elements, we also tried to study some challenges faced by the tribal entrepreneur. Now let's see what we have for today's lecture. In present lecture, we will try to understand why the influence or rise in tribal entrepreneurship is required so that the economic development, technological development, cultural advantage and education could help further. So, elements of influencing entrepreneurship surrounds with number of other possibilities as well, but primarily these four parts, namely economic development, technological development, culture and education are the most important part to deal with. Let's see these elements one by one. When the tribal entrepreneurship will develop, it will influence the economic development by a huge margin. Some of the points can be mentioned here. For example, there will be proper utilization of local resources. We know that the other belts of the country are using their natural resources to their maybe maximum quantity, which should be sustainable actually, but yes, somewhere we are using it at the max. But once the tribal entrepreneurship be developed, it will also use certain rare elements, certain rare natural resources which are available in the land and forest belonging to the tribal population in such a way that these resources can also be optimally utilized for the betterment of the mankind. We know that number of the medicinal plants, number of the medicinal benefits of the barks, leaves, trees can be utilized from these tribal belts. So, in that way, the resources primarily available with the tribal population can again be better utilized. The other part is better and equitable distribution of wealth and investment. It has been said that the government is not looking after for the development of the people, but it is not true. The government is doing its part by providing all types of benefits and services to all types of people living in this country, and number of tribal affairs features are also provided, are also giving benefited to the tribal population. The problem is that the tribal population are still unaware about many of these features, resources, policies, benefits provided by the government. So once these are clear, once the tribal entrepreneur be developed in the locality, they may be aware of these policies, these benefits, and the distribution of wealth and investments can be aligned for all types of population. Naturally, once the wealth and investment be aligned, the poverty and unemployment can also be automatically reduced, which is the third point of economic development. The government can generate number of employment opportunities with the tribal entrepreneurs within their tribal belt, within their community, and by this way, the youngsters may not be misused for the other possibilities for hampering the country. Not only this, once they will start developing their own wealth, they will start earning their own income, they may come out from their poverty line and they may have the benefits of the other society as well. Naturally, this all will help into the improvement of their standard of living. We all know that access to the education, rules, regulation, law, medication are still at the laggard in the tribal areas. But see of the opportunities a tribal entrepreneurship can develop, that not only the natural resources will be optimally utilized, but also it will generate employability in that locality. The people will be doing their own employment, will be happy with that. They may not be misguided by any other miscreants. By this way, they can also be learning using their funds for the education purpose to their child, and literally can increase their standard of living from level 0 to level 1. So, in all these aspects, if we can see, the tribal entrepreneurship definitely influence the economic development through all the way. If we talk about the technological development, then it is a very challenging part for a tribal entrepreneur to use the traditional way of producing the goods or services, or accessing those resources which can help them to produce their product in a mass production level and be utilized, be used up in the vast market. And for a little technological development, they can generate good return. Simply, if they are doing something which requires number of hands, a common machine like mixer grinder can do this in certain minutes only. The thing is that there should be a very clear cut idea that how much mechanization of the traditional things be done. And in my opinion, the access to resources should be in such a manner that their level of production should definitely go up, but it should not be so high that the product will be available abundantly and the prices will fall. So, a mix of both traditional and mechanization production should be done. It has been said that government may not reach to all the places, and so the external partnership and support should be done for the technological advancement of entrepreneurs, basically in the tribal belt. Many of the universities, non-governmental organizations, private colleges are now being promoted to take the helping hand and give the benefit to the nearby tribal locality. One example is mentioned before your screen, that just on March 7th, 2024, the government has installed a Bhagwan Birsa Munda chair in IIT Delhi for the development and innovation in the tribal entrepreneurship, which is showing that government is also keen to develop this entrepreneurial activity at the larger scale for the benefit of their tribal community itself. The technology and innovation part is very much important for the tribal productions, because many of the tribal products and services may be outdated, because the people who are actually developing these products are limited in number. So, somehow with some technology, with some recording, with some ability to pass on their traditional knowledge among the youngsters, they can develop this idea of producing the product for the large scale, and for this the technology can help them out. Naturally, not only this, with the time the tribal entrepreneur should also come up with some innovative practices so that their products should not be vanished out from the market being traditional in nature. It should incorporate certain good aspects of the modern society as well. When we talk about the cultural advantage, it is that with the development in the tribal entrepreneurship, we are actually benefiting ourselves with the time-tested traditional knowledge of number of features. Often we are about to say that we were doing these things when we were young, but now these features are now not available. Think about those tribal communities who were never been explored for their tribal benefits of their tribal products and services. And if these tribal belts will be ruled out from their locality, their tribal population will diminish. How come we know that these types of traditional products and services were also available, which would have a good benefit over the artificial nature of products and services being served to us by larger companies. The next point is keeping the traditional practices intact along with the modern studies. This is again a very gray area where we try to understand that the traditional knowledge we need to keep, but also some modern features, some modern studies be done so that the cultural advantages can be given. Here I want to give an example. There are number of schools in the Kerala area, in the Kerala state, where the tribal people are being taught not only the Malayalam and English, but also their own language, their own traditional culture, so that both the traditional way and the modern way of features be imbibed in their next generation. The third point is the boosting social mobility. When we talk about the social mobility, here it means that by this cultural advantage, we can imbibe the modern features among the tribal people, and they may not be considered themselves secluded from the other population. And also, when they would be incorporated into the larger population with their own traditional benefits, their own traditional knowledges, they can achieve greater innovations, greater ideas of entrepreneurial activities. From the Chhattisgarh area, I have seen that number of students have some idea of their traditional background, and they are also taking admission into the doctoral courses as well. So it is a good feature that the students are learning the new things as well, and they are also attached with their cultural background. Education is one such part which is very much required, and these educations and trainings should be provided to all types of tribal population, considering that in future it may be beneficial for them at the all stage of their life. This is photograph taken from the Tata Trust, and when we were studying about it, this report has mentioned that they have identified with their studies that most of the schools in the tribal belts actually failed because they were established outside of the tribal locality, and by commuting from there to and fro to that schools, number of students either get ill or they may be bitten by some venomous animals and so lose their life. In that way, people started not sending their student to the schools. So Tata Trust has developed this idea that let the school be established inside their own villages, and by this way the tribal child can learn the modern things as well. And the report has suggested that by this way they have started establishing, they have already established 200 schools in the Maharashtra, Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh area of the country. Not only this, by establishing a proper school, it will generate the employment opportunities of the learned tribal youngsters in their own villages. For an example, I taught to one student at the PG level, and now she is working in a school in the Bastar area itself near to her village, and she is very much happy because both of her idea are being served, that he is getting some salary which is required to run her family, and also she is serving to the locality from where she belongs. So she is felt motivated by this aspect. Next is the promotion of self-reliance. Once the education is imbibed under the tribal people, they would be self-reliant with many of the aspects. They have a better land, they have the wider access to the forest, and with the age of modernity, with the new learnings, they can identify the benefits of these lands, these forests, rearing of animals, using the scientific agriculture, and by this they can simply increase the production of agricultural produces and the animal husbandry products. And by this way they can generate better wealth by even not learning the new things, the things they are doing since long. And by this way the education can serve the purpose to make them locally available, not to shift to the cities, and doing the benefit for their society itself. Thank you. I hope that you might have liked this lecture.